Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
Our series begins with C, who wakes up in a rush because she has an important interview and is afraid of being late. Her boyfriend calls to wake her up and tells her that he's waiting outside to take her. She quickly puts on a beautiful dress and is excited about finally graduating and starting her job. She meets her boyfriend Phoebe and rides his bike, but on the way they bump into our handsome hero John, who is also rushing to an important exam. He checks on C, and after making sure she's okay, he picks up his bag and rides away. C is smitten by him at first sight, and her heart is set on JN. When C reaches her interview, she realizes her bag got swapped with John's. Her bad day continues as she gets rejected from the job. Meanwhile, John also discovers his bag got swapped and realizes he doesn't have his ID for the exam. He is kicked out by the professor. John goes to the lab and the professor asks why he didn't take the exam, mentioning that he could have easily topped it. John explains the mix-up but refuses a retake, saying he doesn't like special treatment. Sue's boyfriend takes her out to lunch and she receives a message about another interview the next day. Although SEO doesn't want to go because it's far, her boyfriend insists, promising to take her and wait for her. The next day, SEO waits for her boyfriend, but he forgets about their plans, busy playing a game with friends. Realizing she's going to be late, SEO decides to go alone and takes the bus. When she arrives, her bag is stolen by someone on a motorcycle. SEO falls and gets hurt, calling her boyfriend for help, but his phone is left behind at his place. John hears the ringtone and answers, learning about Cece's situation. He looks for her boyfriend but can't find him, so he goes to help C himself. He takes her in a taxi, holds her hand, and cleans her wound, showing his romantic side. C's eyes are filled with hearts and she shyly looks away when he notices her. JN insists on taking her to the hospital to ensure she's okay. At the hospital, he sits her in a wheelchair and personally takes her to the doctor. After getting an X-ray, treating her wound, and giving her painkillers, John wheels her out just as her boyfriend arrives, apologizing and thanking John for taking care of her. C cries over what happened, hiding her face. John comforts her, telling her to wipe her tears and stay strong. C returns to her place and tells her friend about how amazing and supportive John was. Later, her boyfriend calls to apologize again and tries to invite her to dinner, but C refuses and hangs up. The next day, CO goes to the bus stop for her rescheduled interview and is surprised to see John there. He tells her he's going with her, revealing that her boyfriend asked him to do so, and even threatened to release an embarrassing video if he didn't comply. Since C is still mad at her boyfriend, he sends John instead. They board the bus together and John pretends not to know C, sitting away from her. But when their professor appears, John quickly sits next to CO to prevent the professor from sitting beside her. He takes her earphones and she enjoys it. The professor assumes they are a couple and asks C to convince John to retake the exam. However, he still refuses because it wouldn't be fair. When they get off the bus, the heroine sees a motorcycle approaching and remembers the accident, getting scared and hugging the hero. She apologizes afterward and heads to her interview while the hero waits outside. The manager sees her resume and realizes she lacks experience. Giving her the usual "we'll call you later," she leaves feeling down and invites the hero to lunch to repay him for his help. They go out, play with some kids, and have a nice time together. On the bus ride back, she's exhausted and falls asleep, with the hero letting her rest her head on his shoulder. The next day, the heroine meets the physics professor who kicked the hero out of the exam for not having his ID. She tells him the hero is the smartest student and suggests he would benefit from having him as an intern. The professor gives her a test and says if the hero can solve it, he'll reconsider. She meets her boyfriend and explains she feels guilty about the bag swap and wants to make things right, asking where the hero is. They go to the lab where the hero is, and she provokes him by saying the professor doubts his abilities. Her plan works, and the hero takes the test, solving the equations on the board with her helping to clean it as he goes. He finishes, hands her the paper, and they go out to dinner together. At the restaurant, the heroine notices her boyfriend texting many girls, inviting them to watch him play basketball. She gets upset and argues with him. When they leave, she's not fully aware and tells her boyfriend she used to like him but stopped because of his indifference. She leaves him and goes back to her place, angering her boyfriend, who asks the hero to stay away from her so she will come back to him. The hero calls him selfish and walks away. The next day, she wakes up to a call from a company asking to meet about the job she applied for. When she gets ready and goes down, she finds her boyfriend waiting. He tries to take advantage of her memory lapse, claiming she hugged him and asked him not to leave, but she doesn't believe him and gets annoyed by his behavior. The hero meets the physics professor, who tells him he passed the test and can join his team. The hero thanks him. Overjoyed, the heroine arrives at the company, and the manager tells her she's accepted as an intern and may get a permanent job if she proves herself. She sits at her desk, excited but quickly overwhelmed by the workload. By the end of the day, she's exhausted, with her legs aching from standing. She gets a call from her mother, who insists she move out of her current place and stay at a friend's apartment. Reluctantly, she agrees, packs her things, and goes to the new place. She starts cleaning and redecorating, happy to make it feel like home. Later, she meets the hero at the library and tells him about moving to a new apartment and how she had to clean it because it smelled like a morgue. When she arrives, her mother calls to tell her that Cho's son will come to pick up her things from the apartment. That night, it's raining with thunder and lightning. The heroine is watching a horror movie, completely engrossed and scared. Suddenly, the apartment door opens quietly, and she grabs a knife, screaming, only to find out it's the hero, who turns out to be Cho's son. She apologizes for the harsh words she said about the apartment, explaining she was just joking. They start cleaning the place together since it's a mess. Later, she calls her mom and finds out she arranged this meeting so they could get to know each other. The heroine tells her mother that it wasn't necessary, as she already knows him from university. That night, the hero struggles to sleep as he's used to his own bed. He knocks on her door, asking if they can switch rooms. When she comes out, she looks exhausted, telling him she has a stomachache. The hero gets her some medicine, but it makes her condition worse, and she faints. He realizes the medicine was expired and calls for an ambulance. At the hospital, they meet the same doctor who treated her before. The doctor says she will be fine after a stomach pump, but as he leaves, a patient throws a bag of medicine at him. The hero shields her with his body, getting hit instead. The heroine wakes up, shocked to see the hero so close, and gazes at him, feeling embarrassed. He moves away but stays by her side all night. The next morning, he goes to the restaurant to buy her food and gets a call from her boyfriend asking about his shoes. The hero tells him they are at the hospital because the heroine is unwell. The hero returns and has breakfast with her. The heroine mentions losing her hair tie, so the hero buys a new one. When he comes back, he finds her with her boyfriend, and feeling jealous, he hides the hair tie in his pocket. They leave the hospital together, taking a taxi. Her boyfriend asks how the hero knew she was sick. The hero almost reveals they live together, but the heroine quickly says she got sick while they were walking, and he helped her. When the hero opens the door for her, her boyfriend repeats the same action, making her happy but annoying the hero, who feels useless. He throws away the hair tie he bought. Phoebe learns from a friend that the heroine moved to a new apartment. Surprised, he decides to keep an eye on her. Meanwhile, the heroine texts the hero, asking for the apartment key to get her things, but he doesn't reply. When she runs into him by chance, she asks why he didn't respond. He claims he didn't see the messages and suggests she come with him to the apartment. His cold demeanor confuses her, as it's unlike him. Her boyfriend sees them together, following them and assuming she's cheating. The taxi driver suggests she might be in trouble, which he reluctantly considers. The heroine collects her belongings from the apartment, except for the clothes drying outside. The hero uses this as an excuse to prolong their time together, helping her clean the sheets. One of them flies onto a tree, so he goes down to get it because he's tall. They are surprised to see her boyfriend in the taxi. He comes up to the apartment, demanding to know the nature of their relationship. The hero explains it's a misunderstanding. The heroine questions why her boyfriend cares so much, making him nervous. He says it's because they are close friends and he needs to ensure she's okay. He even suggests the hero is a good match for her, then leaves. The heroine is left standing, feeling sad because she had a crush on her boyfriend for a long time and hoped he would reciprocate her feelings. She pretends to be okay and takes the sheet. She starts to clean it, but the washing machine catches her finger, causing her to get hurt. The hero checks on her and goes out to buy her a bandage. At that moment, she breaks down crying, having held back her tears in front of him. When the hero returns, he brings a watermelon and cuts it in half. They both eat it, feeling happy together. Isn't this the right way to comfort someone, dear viewers? The heroine then receives a call from work asking her to come in. As she gets dressed, the hero takes the opportunity to eat the other half of the watermelon.